17 seconds. That's all anyone had to go off of. Just a few years back, an anonymous user uploaded a clip of a mystery track from the 80s to a song discovery site. The audio was low quality, and the lyrics were really hard to decipher. Some people claimed to have heard it before, but no one knew who sang it. And when pressed for more information, the uploader refused to talk about it. But people, they had to know this is a cool song. So social media users sprang to action looking for clues in improbable places. For 3 years, no one could figure this song out. But then someone found it in the most unlikely of places. You're not going to believe where. My mind was blown when I heard this story. It's a song story where the truth is definitely stranger than fiction. Find out the name of the song, who recorded it, how it was discovered, coming up on Professor of Rock. Oh, I'm excited about this one. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time and the greatest mysteries. You know, if you remember having lightsaber battles after watching the original Star Wars, usually on VHS, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the big red button and click the bell so you always know when our latest and greatest come out. Also, check us out on Patreon for even more content. You can become an honorary producer to have your name on the episodes and help us curate this music history. Today, we actually have a mystery solved. I got the idea for this one because a little while back, we covered the insane story of the most mysterious song on the internet. It's a song from the 80s that no one can find the origins of. No one knows who wrote it, even what it's called. We're still searching for the band or the artist and the name of the song right now. Give you a 30-second recap on that story. In the mid-80s, someone going by the name of Darius S recorded an unnamed song on a mixtape. He labeled it Blind the Wind. It was after a line in the song, and he stashed it away in his collection of cassettes. And then fast forward to 2004, Darius S rediscovered the track and he tried to identify it via the internet. But it wasn't able to do it. Then in 2007, his sister Lydia uploaded Blind the Wind onto multiple song discovery sites, kicking off nearly 2 decades of a search for the truth about this track. All kinds of leads have been followed trying to verify who wrote the song. Musicians have come forward claiming to have written it, but they couldn't provide any proof, to back up their claim. Very wild story. And as of this video, the song's identity still remains a mystery. So that was a lot of fun to cover. And it got me wondering about more mystery songs that have been discovered and solved. And you know what? After doing some digging, I realized that there are a lot of stories like this. In fact, the most mysterious song on the internet spawned an entire phenomenon that's called Lost Wave. This is, of course, a play on New Wave, the genre of the 80s, and consists of songs that nobody knows the origins are, unknown who sings it. There's even a Lost Wave community on Reddit with 40,000 members. That works to bring anonymous songs into the limelight. I want to use our channel to solve some of these mysteries. It's always cool to discover new songs from the 80s that we weren't aware of. Today, we're going to tell the story of another Lost Wave gem, but this one was actually solved. Here's the story. It's commonly referred to as Everyone Knows That, or EKT for short. Along with the most mysterious song on the internet, this has got to be the craziest lost song story out there. So let's jump into the saga. Story begins on October 21st, 2021, when an unidentified user named Carl92 uploaded a 17-second clip of a mystery synth pop track to the song discovery site, What's That Song? Described by Carl92 as mid-80s bad quality in the comments section, he claimed that he rediscovered the sample between a bunch of very old files in a DVD backup. Now, Carl92 would also say that he was from Spain and that he didn't remember where he recorded this song from. The 17-second snippet was indeed very poor quality. It was muffled, and the lyrics were really hard to decipher. Guesses varied on what they said, but people figured they went something like this. You're counting all your sheep, shapes, in the sky, caught up in the world of lies. Everyone knows that. You've got, or she's got, ulterior motives. Tell me the truth, every move shows. And then the clip cuts off. 17 seconds. That's really all that anyone had to go off of. A lot of people began to call the song Everyone Knows That, or like I said, EKT for short. Others called it Ulterior Motives. And of course, both names were drawn from the lyrics, because what else was there? People really started obsessing over this clip. And Carl92's post became the most popular submission on What's That Song since the site's inception clear back to 2006. However, 17 seconds was not a lot to go on. And initially, it seemed like there just wasn't enough information available to uncover the song's identity. Since, the snippet had such poor audio quality, everything about it was up for debate. So people started pressing Carl92 for detailed information about his life and the circumstances around recording the song, where it came from. However, Carl92 was uncooperative and ultimately tapped out. He claimed that the song was a dead end and that he had lost interest in all of it. And that was the last anybody heard from Carl92. But the internet, they didn't think it was a dead end. Users continued their search for EKT and any clues they could trace back to its origin. The audio clip was uploaded to YouTube, and Everyone Knows That became a hot topic on the Reddit community under the subreddit Lost Wave. Then the subreddit Everyone Knows That was started in June 2023. That accumulated over 30,000 subscribers in just under a year. People wanted to know what this song was. A number of theories were posted in the subreddit as internet sleuths tried to dig up dirt on this track. One user would claim that they remembered hearing it in a late 90s car commercial. Another person said they heard it on a Polish McDonald's in-store radio back in 2012. Some users were sure that the singer had a Japanese accent. All these proved to be dead ends or even hoaxes. In fact, some people doubted the authenticity of the song altogether. They thought maybe it was a ruse created by Carl92. Some accused him of generating the low-quality track using AI just so he could screw with the internet. The Reddit community had many moments where they thought that they had solved the mystery, only to come back to square one. That's what's great about these song mysteries. The song would also go viral on YouTube and TikTok, and publications like The Guardian and Rolling Stone would publish stories about the song. So it became a topic of conversation across the board. It's getting a lot of attention. One of the basic strategies employed in the search was to comb through song databases using the potential names of the track. Everyone Knows That, and Ulterior Motives were the top two, of course. But as you can imagine, there were a lot of potential candidates to sift through. However, in August 2023, a user, Hey Scarlett, was scouring a database called the Society of Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers of Canada. And using the mid-'80s as a likely time frame, Scarlett was able to narrow down the search to 4 potential candidates under the name Ulterior Motives. Hey Scarlett reached out to all of these leads. This included a Philadelphia-based rock singer Marcelo Romero, R&B songwriter Preston Glass, Los Angeles rocker Michael Berrigan, and the Booth Brothers from Canada. But the problem is nobody responded to any of the inquiries. By November 2023, Hey Scarlett gave up the ghost and called it quits, concluding that the song, it just didn't exist. But that's when there was a massive break in this song mystery. A Reddit user solved the mystery altogether, and this is where it gets really, really good. So following Hey Scarlett's lead, Reddit user South_Pole_Ball, picked up the trail and actually identified the song on April 28, 2024. And with it, the names of the track's composers, Christopher St. Booth and his identical twin, Philip Booth. That's right, the Booth Brothers. Hey Scarlett was so close. But how did he find it? Well, in a twist that caught everyone off guard, Ulterior Motives turned out to be, get this, background music to a 1986 adult film called Angels of Passion. I'm not kidding. How crazy is that? Don't ask me how South Pole Ball founded. But from here on out, the floodgates were open. As the full-length track came under further scrutiny, new revelations came to light. People realized that the original 17-second clip was the only part of the music that didn't contain background noises from the film, if you catch my drift. So this meant that the abbreviated clip was likely an intentional edit by Carl 92 to hide the song's source. If this was the case, that means if Carl 92 had been upfront about where ulterior motives came from, the identity of this track could have easily come to a speedy conclusion. As it was, only the source media was verified. The rest of the mystery unfolded pretty quickly after that. The Booth brothers were inundated with calls and emails and social media comments. Christopher's social media accounts gained something like 35,000 followers in a month's time. However, neither of the brothers understood what was happening. They were like, what is this? They were both completely in the dark about all of it. They had no idea that a clip of their 4 decades old song had become an internet sensation. In fact, the Booths had completely forgotten about ulterior motives altogether. Finally, once their kids started texting them that they were internet celebrities, they started to catch on to what was going on. Said Christopher, and I quote, "People started writing release EKT or ulterior motives." And I'm going, what is that? I didn't even remember the song at all. That's 40 years ago. And then it got really crazy. Someone sent me a link to a Rolling Stone article about the song. And then I heard the song and I went, oh yeah, that is us. That's how we found out. End of quote. The brothers confirmed that the lyric "everybody knows that" was actually "everybody knows it." Now, you can actually see this on an Instagram video that Christopher uploaded on April 30th, 2024. Here it is. It shows the handwritten lyrics for the song on there. So who are these guys anyway? Well, Christopher and Philip have both been in the music and entertainment industry since the 70s. Christopher started singing in his teens and for a short time was a part of the Canadian glam rock band Sweeney Todd. The band formed in Vancouver, British Columbia back in 1975. It was actually first fronted by Nick Glider, who would later score a #1 solo hit with Hot Child in the City. Hot Child in the City. But while with Sweeney Todd, Glider would man the mic for the band's self-titled debut album. That one reached number 19 on the Canadian album charts on the strength of the #1 Canadian single Roxy Roller. Roxy Roller. Sweeney Todd would have another claim to fame after that. After Nick Glider left, a musician by the name of Brian Guy Adams took the mic. That's right, Mr. Reckless, the Canadian rocker himself, Brian Adams. I do it for you. He was only 16 at the time, and after Sweeney Todd's second album in 1977, he was fired. That's where Christopher St. Booth comes in. He was the lead singer for the next incarnation of the band. Phil also joined up on guitar while another Booth brother named John manned the drum kit. So there were 3 Booth brothers in that one. So this version of Sweeney Todd made its way to America and they played the LA club scene at venues like the Rainbow and the Whiskey. Christopher described this version of Sweeney Todd as a very heavy rock band and he remembers playing with Motley Crue back in the day. However, the band didn't last, they broke up, and so in the 80s, the Booth twins set up shop in LA, and they were struggling musicians. Here they spent the neon decade working in various aspects of the entertainment industry. After the 80s, Christopher continued his career working as a producer and a filmmaker and a musician, and he created content for Sony and Netflix, Amazon, and Apple. So, working a lot of different jobs. According to Christopher, he and Philip recorded Ulterior Motives around 1986. It was actually one of several tracks they'd recorded at that time. The 2 musicians would work with producer George Tobin. He, of course, produced Tiffany, Kim Carnes. He also did some stuff with New Edition. Philip would also say that they worked on an 80s pop album with another producer, Gary Getzman, who did Stop Making Sense of the Talking Heads, David Byrne. However, the LP never materialized. Said Philip about Gary Getzman, he took us in to get a record deal, and we released a couple of songs, but all these other songs, including Ulterior Motives, they were lost songs. We had a whole album of this 80s stuff. So despite their best efforts, a mainstream music career just wasn't really taking off for these guys. So they picked up jobs wherever they could find them. This led to the brothers working on movies as production assistants. And according to Christopher, they worked on some big-name films. However, as you may have guessed from where Ulterior Motives was discovered, they also worked on some under-the-radar projects, right? As Christopher tells it, and I quote, "There was a friend of ours that was doing adult movies, and they needed somebody to do craft services and move stuff around. And we knew the producers, they were very nice, and they needed music. They gave us quite a bit of money just to give them some music, to use behind the scenes. And of course, we needed the money, so that's how that all happened." End of quote. Ulterior Motives was actually written as a pop song, and they just used it in the movie. Speaking about what inspired the song, Christopher said that it was about a girl that cheated. She was saying one thing and you found out that she just did another thing. Christopher and Philip were absolutely blown away by the response that they got from the online community. And they didn't want to let their new fan base down, so they actually started digging, see if they could find that original cut of Ulterior Motives. According to Christopher, they had to go through 40 years of tapes to see if they could even find the master. And the search yielded some positive results. The brothers were able to uncover a rhythm track. However, the full tape of the original was damaged and they couldn't release it as it was. So the Booths decided to throw some 80s synth guitar on top of what they had, recut the vocals, and attempt to get it as close to the original as possible. Now, in an Instagram Q&A, Christopher confirmed that parts of a rough mixdown of the original Ulterior Motives were used in the remake, and that about 80% of the original made it onto the hybrid re-recording. Here's how it sounds now. Said Philip, and I quote, "I have to say, I didn't realize how catchy this song is. And now it's like I can't stop singing. The beauty of it is we're starting to go through the music and have discovered a whole album's worth of music written back then. This sounds just like that. And everybody's saying, you need to put that album out." So guess what? They did. Going under the moniker Who's Who, Christopher and Philip released Ulterior Motives as part of a 13-song LP that just came out a couple of months ago, June 2024. The album contains music that they'd written and produced back in the 80s. It's a treasure trove of material that the guys discovered while they were searching for the Ulterior Motives master. And the record is appropriately titled Ulterior Motives, The Lost Album. It's actually been released on all streaming platforms. I'll link to it below. And you know what? I have to admit, it's a pretty good album. There's some really catchy songs on the record. To me, it sounds like Kaja Gugu and Culture Club having a knife fight. I got to give a shout out to the Booth brothers for being so committed to the cause. I mean, from the moment they got involved, they have worked tirelessly to provide a quality version of their song for their new fan base. This whole thing, it's a really cool story, one of the cool stories from this year. From an adult film to an internet sensation to a new album. I mean, I love it when I get to experience the 80s in a whole new way. So what do you think about all this? Is this crazy or what? Have you ever heard of Christopher and Philip Booth? Also, what do you think about this type of content? Do you like hearing the stories of lost wave songs or lost songs altogether? I think it's really interesting. Are there others that we should cover on the channel? Let me know in the comments below. And, thanks for watching. Leave us a comment about Ulterior Motives. Have you ever heard this song? What do you think about it? What do you think it sounds like? I'd love to get your take on it. Let us know in the comments below. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe below. We would love to have you as part of our community. That's what we do all the time, keeping the music alive, telling the stories, the history. It's so important. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.